Hey Newcastle, here's the deal. Either you give us your best player and we'll pay his worth, or we'll take your top transfer target and potential replacement instead. The ball's in your court. And yep, that's exactly what Liverpool just did, as they made a move for Alexander Isak. If he's not available, they'll turn to Hugo Ekitike, the very player Newcastle have been tracking as a possible future number 9. Now, if we had to choose between the two, our pick, and honestly almost everyone else's, would be obvious. Both are talented, both fit the profile, but Alexander Isak is the more proven product. He's already established himself as one of the Premier League's top strikers, while Ekitike, despite his massive potential, still carries a few question marks when it comes to adapting to English football. So in today's video, we'll break down exactly what Alexander Isak brings to the table, why Arne Slot's Liverpool are so interested in him, and how his qualities could elevate the Reds' attack to a whole new level. So don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and let's dive straight into it. So to understand why Isak is generating so much excitement, we need to look at the key aspects of his game, from his movement and finishing to his link-up play and work off the ball, and see how they'd mesh with Liverpool's tactical setup. Let's start with what he does when we're in possession. First off, Isak's movement is something special for a striker of his size. At 6 feet 4 inches, you might expect a traditional target man who stays central, but Isak is anything but static. He's constantly on the move, looking to exploit space wherever he can find it. You'll see him drifting wide to the left, dropping deep into midfield, and of course darting in behind the opposition's back line. This fluid movement makes him a nightmare to mark, as defenders never quite know whether to follow him out wide or hand him off to a midfielder. It's similar to how Liverpool often use a false 9, so Isak can provide that fluidity while still being a genuine number 9. One smart thing Isak does is operate on the blind side of defenders. What do we mean by that? He often positions himself just out of a centre-back's field of vision, then goes into pockets of space at the last second. How many times have we seen him peel off to the back post unnoticed, ready to tap in a cross or latch onto a cutback? It's no coincidence. That's intelligent, calculated movement. He even has a cheeky habit of hovering slightly offside during the build-up, making centre-backs nervous and forcing them to constantly check over their shoulder. The moment a play develops, he steps back onside, and boom, he's already a step ahead, ready to meet the ball. This kind of spatial awareness and timing is something Liverpool could absolutely use to break down organised defences. Now let's talk about finishing, because ultimately a striker has to put the ball in the net, and Isak certainly does. In fact, he's coming off back-to-back seasons of 20+ league goals, establishing himself as one of the Premier League's most reliable scorers. His finishing style is a mixture of power and finesse. He's capable of smashing an unstoppable shot from the edge of the area, but he's just as likely to remain ice cool in a one-on-one and calmly slot it past the keeper. Right foot, left foot, it doesn't matter. Isak is comfortably two-footed, which makes him unpredictable for goalkeepers and defenders alike. We've seen him score all types of goals, from curling efforts from the top of the box, first-time volleys, delicate chips, to poachers' tap-ins. And don't forget headers. Despite a somewhat lanky frame, his 6 feet 4 inches height and timing make him a threat in the air. He's the type who can outjump his marker and plant a header into the corner. In short, give Isak a chance and he'll likely take it. His tally in recent seasons speaks for itself and shows a clinical edge that Liverpool's forward line could definitely benefit from. What really sets Isak apart though is that he's far more than just a goal scorer. Let's get into his link-up play and technical ability. This is where the phrase complete striker starts to make sense. Unlike a pure poacher who might disappear from games until a scoring chance appears, Isak loves to get involved in the build-up. He'll drop off the front to receive the ball, he'll combine with midfielders, and he's comfortable playing in tight spaces with quick 1-2s. In many ways, he can operate like a false 9 when needed, while also being a massive threat when running behind. That dual ability is rare. For example, it's not unusual to see him collect the ball near the centre circle, lay it off under pressure, then immediately spin in behind the defensive line to receive the return pass. This kind of interplay could be devastating with Liverpool's runners. Crucially, Isak is press resistant when he comes deep. For a big man, his close control is fantastic. He doesn't panic when an opposing defender is on his heels. Instead, he uses that strong frame to shield the ball and his quick feet to wriggle away or find a teammate. How many times have we seen strikers receive a pass with their back to goal, only to get immediately dispossessed or miscontrol it under pressure? With Isak, that happens a lot less often. He can bring down a high ball, hold off his marker, and then have the composure to pick out an on-rushing midfielder instead of coughing it up. That means when Liverpool fire passes into him, even if he's being tightly marked, there's a good chance we retain possession and can continue the attack. And this brings us to another area of Isak's game that often flies under the radar. It's how he handles direct balls and the dirty work of winning second balls. See, under Arne Slot's approach, Liverpool aren't afraid to play more direct at times. We've seen it already, those long diagonal balls from deep targeting our forwards, whether it's Nunez or Salah sprinting in behind. Of course, those passes don't always find their target cleanly, so a lot of them turn into 50-50 duels with defenders. Keeping possession in those moments depends on someone either winning the initial contest or at least doing enough to make the ball bounce our way. This is where Isak could give us a crucial advantage. His combination of height, athleticism, and technique makes him a prime outlet for long balls. He can leap above defenders to win flick-ons or knockdowns, and he can use his body to hold up the ball if it's played into him. Even when he doesn't win a header outright, he's great at making life difficult for the centre-back. Maybe he gets a slight touch, or just puts the defender off balance. The result is often that the ball doesn't get cleanly cleared, and instead falls to one of our midfielders. By being quick to read these situations and contesting every aerial duel, Isak would help Liverpool regain possession higher up the pitch and catch the opposition before they've had time to reset their defence. Now that we've covered the key aspects of Isak's game when Liverpool have the ball, let's shift to what he brings when we're out of possession, namely his work rate and defensive contribution from the front. Modern football demands that forwards do more than just score. They have to be the first line of defence. Under Slot, Liverpool's pressing has been a bit different from the heavy metal gegenpress of Klopp's early years. It's often more measured, sometimes resembling a mid-block that springs into a press at the right moments. We've seen the team line up in what looks like a 4-2-4 shape when pressing, with a striker and an attacking midfielder, often Szoboszlai forming the first line. In these situations, the striker's role is pivotal. He has to initiate the press, angle his runs to cut off passing lanes, and basically lead the hunting pack. So, how would Isak fare in that department? Well, pressing hasn't always been the first thing people mention about Alexander Isak. At Newcastle, he wasn't renowned as a relentless presser in the mould of, say, Roberto Firmino. But that doesn't mean he's not capable or that he'd slack off. In fact, we all saw what he did against us in the EFL Cup when he relentlessly pressed our backline. Under Eddie Howe, Isak improved his defensive work rate significantly. He learned to press with purpose, not just running around aimlessly, but timing his bursts to force the opponent into mistakes. His long strides actually become an asset here, as he can close down a ball carrier surprisingly fast for such a tall player, and his reach allows him to make interceptions or blocks that shorter players might not get to. Another aspect to consider is Isak's stamina and work ethic. This guy isn't one to walk around and wait for the ball. He's clocked a lot of minutes and covers a lot of ground. At 25, he's entering his peak years physically, and he's demonstrated that he can handle a high work rate, whether it's making repeated sprints in behind or tracking back and pressing. It's worth noting that having a forward who's willing to put in the hard yards defensively is huge for a coach, so let's piece it all together. What would Alexander Isak bring to Liverpool? He'd provide a rare blend of qualities at the number 9 position. Offensively, he gives us height, pace, and technical skill all in one package. A striker who can just as easily run in behind for a through pass as he can drop deep to connect play. He'd offer the kind of clinical finishing that wins tight games, plus the creative link-up play to make those around him better. Think of the chances he could lay on for Salah, Wirtz, or Gakpo with his passes and flicks. His intelligent movement would add fluidity to our forward line, making us much less predictable. After all, we all know how we lack a physical presence inside the box, and that will be the first area Isak would improve. Add to that his ability to hold up the ball under pressure, meaning we'd finally have a reliable outlet when we're under the cosh or when we choose to go long. Defensively, Isak might not be the second coming of prime Firmino, but he'd still significantly contribute. He'd be the tip of our spear in the press, using his speed and length to harry defenders and start the press on the right note. With his work rate and improving pressing savvy, he'd help set the tone that we expect under Slot. In short, Isak is about as complete a forward as you'll find at his age, and that's exactly why he's reportedly at the very top of Liverpool's wish list. It's no coincidence that sources have called him Arne Slot's dream signing. When you consider what he offers, it makes perfect sense. So, is it worth Liverpool potentially breaking the bank to make Alexander Isak our new striker? So far, the answer looks like a resounding yes. Just like we said at the beginning of this video, Isak appears to be the chosen one for Liverpool's next evolution, a forward who brings far more than just a handful of goals. Now, that's not to say he's flawless or that success is guaranteed. He'll need to stay fit. Availability is key after all. He'll have to adapt to Liverpool's system and the weight of expectations that come with that famous number 9 shirt at Anfield. A striker who can do it all is hard to find, and when one like Isak comes along, you move heaven and earth to bring him in. It feels like he could be the final puzzle piece that makes everything click. So, are you convinced that Alexander Isak would be the ideal striker for Liverpool? Or do you think the club should pursue a different option? Perhaps target Newcastle's main target, Ekitike? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We're really curious to hear what you think about potentially making Isak our marquee signing. And if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.